Hello, Falcon Ridge, you look beautiful. This guitar came from a timber, from the body of a tree, through the workshop of a luthier. Now it's on loan to me, and it's good company after dinner. And it fits my hands just fine, but someday another singer with a pair of hands like mine will coax out songs much prettier, still hiding in its strings, and sing stronger, braver words than I could ever sing. And folks are gonna love it, of this I'm almost sure, so I'll take good care of it, 'cause I'm borrowing it from her. Pass it along, pass it along. May it land in careful hands when we're gone. You carry it for a moment, but time won't loan it to you for long. You don't own it, pass it along. And I still love my country. Sometimes it's hard to recognize it, but I count myself lucky to have been born inside it. And I'm grateful for the rights others struggled hard to win. You can be sure I'm gonna fight when they try and take them back again. Oh, and everywhere are teachers, though some fell along the way. The words they said still reach us, just like you're teaching me here today. And it might not be out loud, but it's clear in what you do. And I hope to make you proud, 'cause I borrowed it from you. Pass it along, pass it along. May it land in careful hands when we're gone. You carry it for a moment, but time won't loan it to you for long. You don't own it, pass it along. Seems these days we're in a hurry to grab up all that's left to use, putting patents on discovery, making seeds that don't reproduce. If our vision is so narrow, seeing only bought and sold, we'll end up like the pharaohs, buried with their gold. We've all pushed this thing along, we've all been guided by our fear, but the river sings a song we've gotta be quieter to hear. It's in every child's face, new and hopeful as a stem. Best be gentle with this place, 'cause we're borrowing it from them. Pass it along, pass it along. May it land in careful hands when we're gone. You carry it for a moment, but time won't loan it to you for long. You don't own it, pass it along. Sing if you feel it. Pass it along, pass it along. May it land in careful hands when we're gone. You carry it for a moment, but time won't loan it to you for long. You don't own it, pass it along. Thank you so much, friends. These are the second chances. This is Melissa Walker on the big bass fiddle. and Bramwell Park on the banjo. It's their first time at Falcon Ridge. It's so good to be here. Man, we've been having a good time. You all having a good time so far? Cool. All right, this is a song inspired by my two greatest categories, two greatest groups of gurus in this life for me have been the doggos and the kiddos. We staggered arm in arm here when we were younger. Tried everything they said we shouldn't do. And we took as many trips as we took lovers. But some of those trips, a dog comes back with you. Oh, and some of those trysts turned into tricycles. And my wild and reckless friends got safe and old, wheeling little buddy homeward on the bicycle, with all the hope and joy and poop a bike seat could hold. Now the Feral Festival kidlets keep changing costumes. They run in a pack and dig holes in the ground. And they like sleeping under the table, just like the dogs do. So you watch your step when there's little ones around. And I'm a better person when I'm hanging with dogs and kids. Got one thing on their mind at a time, can't keep nothing hid. Remind me we're alive, forgive whatever we did. I'm a better person hanging with dogs and kids. So we talk about work and what we're reading, why the bastards keep winning, and where we'd move if they did. We talk about who went home with whom at the party last weekend. But eventually we just watch the dogs and kids. Chasing and sniffing and eating's all they're on about. They don't complicate their blues, they just moan. They don't think much about themselves. They just freak out if they got a bone to pick with you. It's probably just a bone. And I'm a better person when I'm hanging with dogs and kids. Got one thing on their mind at a time, can't keep nothing hid. Remind me we're alive, forgive whatever we did. I'm a better person hanging with dogs and kids. My buddy had a run of bad luck and bad choices. If it goes bad in court, one of us has to take his pup. He's trying to learn to listen to the right voices. Hope he don't have to miss his kid growing up. We were all bulletproof daydream manifestors, but all the bluster just boils down to love. Just wanna be a good uncle, be a good ancestor. I'm taking better care when there's someone to take care of. And I'm a better person when I'm hanging with dogs and kids. Got one thing on their mind at a time, can't keep nothing hid. Remind me we're alive, forgive whatever we did. I'm a better person hanging with dogs and kids. I'm a better person Thank you so much, friends. Well, this tour we're on at the moment is a CD release tour. I'm going to be on tour pretty much all of this year as a CD release tour for a brand new album called Tangle of Souls. Thank you, friends. It came out in August of 2020, but I'm still sticking to my guns and calling it a brand new album. Because, as you know, for a while there, I had no idea when I was going to be able to get back out into the world and get it into people's hands in person, which felt scary at the time to be going ahead with a project like that, and particularly scary because it's the biggest thing I've ever done, owing in large part to a long-running personal fascination with liner notes that goes all the way back to my early musical education, which was with my parents' record collection. You know, in those days, there was no internet. There was no way to find out anything about what you were listening to other than what they saw fit to print on the jacket. So I would love the ones that would give you a little more, you know? Maybe they'd open up. Maybe they'd even, like, open up again. There'd be, like, an insert you could pull out and have all the lyrics on it and tell you who played what on which track. And maybe they'd talk about the tour they were on at the time or talk about what was going on in the world or show you some pictures from the studio or whatever. I drank all that stuff up. So over the years, as I've been making albums of my own, I've been gradually putting more and more into the packaging of them. That song that we sang you just now came from a record called Further Down the Line. And this is really, I guess, when I had to admit to myself that this whole thing with liner notes was turning into something else altogether. It ended up being 132 pages. Mostly pictures from my travels, but also the words and chords to the songs in there in case you want to learn to sing them. And a little essay in the beginning about what I was even thinking in the first place when I quit my job teaching kindergarten in Taiwan and moved into a minivan and set out to see just how much debt one man could accrue. It turns out it's a lot. Anyway, when it came time to follow this up, I thought there's nowhere to go from there but further in the same direction. So I just went full hymnal this time. 240 pages, mostly words, as it turns out, but also some really cool eucalypt leaf prints by my friend Cecilia Sharpley down in Australia. And of course, like any hymnal, it's got a little bookmark so you can keep your place. Unlike any hymnal, it's also got a CD in the back. So we'll sing a couple songs off of that. This is the first one we released. It's called Leave a Light On. This is a low-budget love song. There's no car chase scene, no moon falling from the sky or mountains crumbling to the sea. I just want to be around you. I'll try to say it plain. And if you don't believe me, I'll spell it out again. I know it's intricate step work. We don't want to rush this measured cadence and the distance between us. But I got a steady feeling like I never knew. I'm thanking life for second chances and glory for you. You know so many songs, if singing makes them true, well, play me one where the lovers make it through. When the miles stretch out between us like a hazy memory, when it's storming on the highway and it's getting hard to see, leave a light on in your heart for me. And if I'm running my mouth, won't you put me in my place? Sit my fool self down and look me in the face. You know I'm not the quickest learner, but I'm figuring it out. Waiting for those pretty words to tumble from your mouth. You say you got so many stories, plenty that I know. Tell me one where you don't have to go. When the miles stretch stretch out between us like a hazy memory. When it's storming on the highway and it's getting hard to see, leave a light on in your heart for me. After all that time wondering what could be and could have been, since I landed in your company, the world feels new again. I'm just grateful for the sunlight at just that time of year, and whatever unseen forces conspire to bring us here. So go after your dreams, every place you dare, just dream us one where I can meet you there. When the miles stretch out between us like a hazy memory, when it's storming on the highway and it's getting hard to see, leave a light on in your heart for me. Leave a light on in your heart for me. Thank you, friends. Thank you. We'll sing another from the hymnal. This one was. This is a song inspired by my family. I was actually born in Morgantown, West Virginia. Thank you. We got some West Virginians here. My folks moved us up to Canada when I was young, but the rest of our family still lives down here. And a bunch of them, most of them are in Michigan. And we actually had the opportunity to visit them a little early on this trip. We played a festival called Bliss Fest in Michigan, which is about 10 minutes. We got some Bliss Festers here, too. It's about 10 minutes from the Cook family farm. And so on the way, we got to stop by the farm and also the hardware store. Got to introduce them to my uncle and cousin. And, well, I forewarned Bram and Melissa that there is a diversity of political thinking among my family. But they're all good people, and I wrote this one for them. I love this country. I love the people and the land. But there's a lot of stuff happening that I can't understand. We got billions for bailouts. We got trillions for wars. But it's hard for working people to make a living anymore. Hear me out for a second. This ain't a partisan song. It ain't about right and left. It's about right and wrong. We're fighting over the scraps while a few are living like kings. 'Cause screwing us over's a bipartisan thing. And it's working people who made this country great. Not the greedy opportunists or the peddlers of hate. And if a new day's coming, it's gotta come from you and me. Oh, say, can you see? See, I got a neighbor. We don't always agree. He's a bit of a redneck, according to a hippie like me. But if you're in the ditch, he'll pull you out, I know he will. And that's more than I can say for all those dickheads on the hill. He works hard for his family. He's got loyalty and pride. The company took all he gave and then cast them aside. 'Cause there's profit in poverty. Hell, there's profit in prisons. And they don't even pay taxes. They just buy politicians. But it's working people who made this country great. Not the greedy opportunists or the peddlers of hate. And if a new day's coming, it's gotta come from you and me. there's a lady with a flame, still calling in the huddled masses in liberty's name. But there's fear on the airwaves and hatred wrapped in the flag, turning strangers into enemies and our riches into rags. And a revolution to break the grip of greed don't need a strong man or a savior, but I believe we're gonna need whatever magic this whole world's got left to start, and all the ammunition in the chambers of our hearts. It's working people who made this country great, not the greedy opportunists or the peddlers of hate. And if a new day's coming, it's gotta come from you and me. Oh, say can you see? Oh, say can you see? You guys want Kid or Roland? You probably want Roland, yeah? It's cool. Or it's one or the other? Yeah. Roland. Okay. Well, thank you, friends. Thank you so much. We'll play you one more from the new album. And speaking of albums, after this set is done, immediately after this set's done, I'll be going over to the merch barn. And I'd be happy to sign anything for you. Anything, absolutely anything. Try me. Also, I got a mailing list out there, which is the best way to keep in touch with me. It's called the Hobo Travelogue. It comes out every month or two. And, you know, I really don't think we can rely on these social media platforms to deliver us our news in a timely manner. So how about we just do it old school, direct to your inbox. I should also let you know that I will be back in this neck of the woods in October touring. And how would you find out about that? I'm going to play Barbara Mannor's series, Acoustic Celebration. How would you find out when? October 9th. Wow, well, that's helpful. When I'm wondering when I'm playing, I just go to scottcook.net and I look it up there. It tells me. All right, this is one more tune off the new record. It's a honky-tonk number called Rollin' to You. Darling, I heard about your breakup. You think he and me were in cahoots. 'Cause I know just the dance floor, you don't need no makeup. Girl, just put your hair up and shine up your boots. High rollin' or low rollin', I'm rollin' you. When I get back to town, won't you drag me around, see what kind of trouble we can get into. There's a radio's got every kind of lonesome. This road map's got everywhere but gone. If I call off all this rolling on my own someday, do you think we could call it on? High rollin' or low rollin', I'm rollin' you. When I get back to town, won't you drag me around, see what kind of trouble we can get into. Knowing all the rough roads I traveled, knowing all the dangers in a day, knowing all the turns where the plot could unravel, come hell or high water, I'm coming either way. High rollin' or low rollin', I'm rollin' you. When I get back to town, won't you drag me around, see what kind of trouble we can get into. High rollin' or low rollin', I'm rollin' you. When I get back to town, won't you drag me around, see what kind of trouble we can get into. Thank you, friends. Well, hey, this is a folk festival, And I really haven't asked a lot of you in the singing department so far, have I? Do you feel like singing, Falcon Ridge? Sweet. Some people there, and seems to be a group up there who's also enthusiastic about singing. Oh, and over there too. How about the rest of you? You can say no if you don't feel like it. Do you feel like singing? Okay, it sounds like most of you are on board. We're gonna roll with that. This is an easy one to sing. So we'll just skip that whole part where, you have to rehearse beforehand. We'll just get right to it. You're a savvy audience. I know you'll pick it up. This is a song about something I'd like to see change in the world. I know there's plenty of things in this world could use changing, but this is just about one thing in particular. I want to send it out to Alice and Dana. Thanks for taking care of us. You're the best. Well, there's a whole lot of uppity women still ain't satisfied with the deal. We let them ride right alongside. Now they want to take the wheel. And the fellas keep saying we got this, 'cause that's the way that it's always been done. Don't all the scriptures say a woman should obey? Didn't a man write every last one? We could take a little lesson from history. All the priests, generals, and kings, they're just nothing like long experience when it comes to making a mess out of things. So fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. We had our turn, we had our say. Fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. That's your part, Falcon Ridge. Now they want choice and pay equality. Wouldn't believe it how they ran and raved. Back in the day, we just knock them on the head and drag them on back to the cave. And we're still flexing that privilege, though we find ways to ignore it. And ever subtler ways to say she must have been asking for it. Oh, fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. We had our turn, we had our say. Fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. Tell you what, I thank God that she made women. Every time I'm in a crowd of guys, they might do just fine without us. Without them, we'd be Lord of the Flies. Whoever said it's bros before hoes, I could tell you that's a load of malarkey. If there's any hope for this here show, we got to bring on the matriarchy. Fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. We had our turn, we had our say. Fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. That's Melissa Walker on the big bass fiddle. I got a guy friend who's 30 years married. He backs her up however he can. He says, happy wife, happy life. Seems to me he's a reasonable man. I got a gal friend who's tougher than me. If you cross her, there'll be hell to pay. When I hold the door, it ain't chivalry. No, I'm just getting out of her way. Fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. We had our turn, we had our say. Fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. Louder, fellas. Fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. We had our turn, we had our say. Fellas, get out the way. Fellas, get out the way. Thank you, friends. Thank you. All right. Well, we're going to play you a new one now. I've been writing songs this year, for about a year now, for Patreon, just releasing them on Patreon. I made a pledge to write, record, and release a song a month. And if I don't do it, I pause the payment. There are 124 souls on board right now, and I'm telling you, their monthly payment is a persuasive material incentive to at least try and write a song every month. Just recorded July's song at the hotel right before we came over here. But this one, I originally only released it on Patreon, and then later I was like, you know what, I want to put it out everywhere. Most of my music can't be found on Spotify or those platforms, but this one, I said, yeah, I want to put it out there. I wanted to get to as many people's ears as possible, and I was secretly hoping that it would get to the ears of the woman I wrote it about, because she's a personal hero of mine, the New York State Attorney General, Letitia James. I'm glad you know who I'm talking about here at Falcon Ridge. I didn't know who she was. I heard her name a bunch on Democracy Now!, and finally I was like, I gotta look this woman up. Who is she? And just reading through the Wikipedia article and then starting to read her in her own words, I was just so blown away by her intelligence and tenacity and utter badassery that I thought she is well worthy of a song. And you know, after I released it, I was just hoping that she would hear it, because it is kind of weird to write a song about a living person, right? But then in May, I was out on the Sunshine Coast touring with my partner Pamela, and we had a gig in Powell River. And we went up to a tiny town called Lund. It's the northern terminus of Highway 101. You know, you can drive all the way from Mexico to Lund. And thank you. And we were in Lund. It's a tiny little town, and right there at the bulletin board, I saw our poster, and I was like, whoa, we're famous in Lund. Took a picture with it and everything, and then went back to Powell River to do the gig. And we were watching the opening act, and the owner came over to us, and he said, there's a couple women at the bar who would like to have a word with you. And he put this business card down on the table, and I looked, and on the top right it says, State of New York, Office of the Attorney General, Letitia James. Turns out her right-hand woman, her first deputy attorney general, has family on the Sunshine Coast, and she was out visiting them when she saw that poster in Lund. And she was like, that's the guy. Because they've already heard it, and they've been rocking out to it at the office. Friends, the TV news gives me the blues with the stories they run about the crooked, faking assholes taking up all the oxygen. They got ads to sell us, so they don't tell us how to change the status quo or inform the masses about true badasses and folk heroes. Now some good people insist that you can't resist the machine and its will. So many tried and failed, one even got nailed to a cross on a hill. And some other folks say that they'll let you play, but they'll never let you win. And you must be deranged if you dream of changing the system from within. No denying it's a long run, and there's 1,000,001 ways to ruin it. But if you say it can't be done, just stay out the way of the ones doing it, who pay their dues, study the rules, to beat them at their own games. Like the Queen Bee, New York AG, the fearless Letitia James. Ain't it sweet to see the powers that be go down in flames? They're so unnerved when they get served. Get 'em, Letitia James. Born and bred in Brooklyn, she grew up looking at the world from that view. And her family was tested when her brother was arrested for something that he didn't do. When they went to the courtroom to support him, Tish was a teenager, and she saw everyone in there except the defendants. None of them looked like her. And her vow that day to fight for education took her such a long way to her vocation in litigation. From public defender to attorney general, kicking ass and taking names. From food stamps to the people's champ, the mighty Letitia James. Ain't it sweet to see the powers that be go down in flames? They're so unnerved when they get served. Get 'em, Letitia James. Freshly educated at Howard University, Tish went to work for the Legal Aid Society, defended folks who didn't have the dollars, set up a coalition for young black scholars, and it was righteous work, but she was just getting started. Won a seat on city council for the Working Families Party, found irregularities in corporate contracts, fixed payroll, and took $600 million back, fought corruption in the NYPD, sued the cops for roughing people up at Occupy Wall Street, fought against developers to keep folks in their homes, knowing poor people can't fight them alone. And next she got elected public advocate, elevated the position by the respect she had for it, heard complaints to try to make things fair, sued the city over foster care. Then in 2019 she was elected AG, and everyone who stood behind her could see the same as ever. She'd be the people's defender, fighting the sharks and the predatory lenders. Even when she was outgunned, she fought anyway, sniffed out fraud and filed suit against the NRA. Never afraid of the powerful so-and-sos like Mayor Bloomberg or Governor Cuomo. Working under people she was way smarter than, dealing out justice that was nonpartisan. I mean, Cuomo was a Democrat, but he was also a creep, and Tish wouldn't have that. She opened an inquiry into the harassment allegations, another into undercounted deaths of nursing home patients. She kept it all in her sights and just kept on picking the right fights to break up big tech, to keep the net neutral, filed antitrust against Facebook and Google, sued corporations for fraud and fixing prices, fined J&J $200 million for the opioid crisis, fought for tenants and children, fought for the disrespected and forgotten. She said, I won't be found up in an ivory tower, I'll be here on the ground, speaking truth to power, feeling people's pain, doing the job relatably and never be removed from those who elevated me. Cause some believe in profit over people, but the Constitution counts us equal. When dignity is under attack, on my watch, we're gonna take that power back. And you can see how rich folks could get used to getting their way, and the wealth of trickery and the way the game gets played. Like when it serves them, why not inflate their assets, but then undervalue them when they're paying taxes? After a while, they could get to thinking they're above the law. But swaggering's a fatal flaw. Like one such chump, he had a long slump, but he kept living large. His name is best forgotten, cause that big fish is rotten and might get caught. Attorney General James is coming in hot with some advice for the crooked shysters. Ain't what they claim. You're tempting fate in New York State. Get 'em, Letitia James. Ain't it sweet to see the powers that be go down in flames? You're so unnerved when they get served. Get 'em, Letitia James. Oh, get 'em, Letitia James. Get 'em, Letitia James. This is Jennifer doing the ASL interpretation. Jennifer, I just wanted to apologize to you for that last song. You did admirably. We just want to send out, we got one last tune, but before we play it, we just want to send out the hugest love to Anne and all the volunteers, and Jennifer and all the interpreters, and this amazing stage and sound crew, and all the people who make Falcon Ridge happen. We love you. Thank you. All right, I hate to close out on a serious note, but we're gonna. Just because this is a bit of a PSA that we really want to get out there. We want the message to get around. And this applies specifically to those of you with kitchens. Because this is a song about a thing that happens quite often in my kitchen. And, well, it might just happen in yours too if you're not careful. Well, it might start out with Tuesday night mojitos. Why not, right? squeezing out that mint and lime, till someone drops the needle on that Temptations vinyl and it's kitchen dance party time. Or you just might be cooking up some curry with some funky Nina Simone. Before you know it, you're bipping and a popping and locking, kitchen dance party on. Well, we don't need no big sound system. We don't need no smoke and laser lights. We don't need to show ID or wait in line to go pee at the kitchen dance party tonight. So don't you be a kitchen dance party pooper. Come on, grab a good time before it's gone. We're just banana bread baking, booty shaking, getting our kitchen dance party on. When you're goofing with such goofy people, sometimes it's been known to spill out in the yard. And if the neighbors get uptight, you gotta fight for your right to kitchen dance party hard. Oh, and even though my face hurts from smiling, won't you play another Stevie Wonder song? We're just a bumping and a grinding, yelling out rewind and kitchen dance party on. To the bridge, to the bridge, to the bridge. If you like to do the egg beater, you should try it while you're beating eggs. And you can mash potatoes with a blender while you dance the mashed potato with your legs. Have you heard that Oshima Brothers record? Oh, that band's so hot, man, they're flammable. We'll go off to that stuff. Come on, cue it on up for these kitchen dance party animals. And we'll boogie like our backs ain't got no bone. Oh, someone get Chelsea Johnson on the phone. Tell her we're oomping and loomping, shaking on something. There's a kitchen dance party on. We just keep twisting and jiving, fist bumping and high-fiving. Kitchen dance party on. Kung fu fighting and up rocking, chicken dancing and duck walking. Kitchen dance party on. Let's give him a bow. Yeah.